So Charl, I'm sure in the 17 years of this project, there were many challenges.
The number of challenges in this project, well, let's just say it was almost ridiculous. And it required persistence, and it required out-of-the-box thinking. It required tremendous commitment to see all those problems through.
So Charl, when you started this project, there was legally no earth here.
Yes, legally we had no earth. What was here was what seemed like a abandoned, overgrown garden with a staircase down the mountain and two neighbouring properties. But actually, legally, what was here was a portion of private land belonging to a neighbour, as well as a portion of what was technically City Council road or street. And over 10 years, we then bought the private garden, bought the bit of street, had the two parcels of land rezoned to the same zoning, which is a prerequisite to amalgamate those two parcels to become a single new legal entity. And that process took us over 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Charl, and I believe that you started with an unwelcomed occupant on this property. How did that happen?
A portion of this earth was occupied, and to cut a very long story short, we did come to an agreement outside of court. We did settle, and I will keep to that for now.
And I believe also this unwelcomed occupant occupied the street in front of this property.
Yes. So we had no access to our own earth, which, as you may imagine, is slightly problematic. And again, I'm not going to tell you a long, convoluted story, but as the street is City Council property, we went through the bureaucracy, hierarchy, upping it level by level, without much satisfaction, I can add. And eventually we were seriously right up at the Mayor's number 2, who issued an instruction to the head of the City Council's Metropolitan Police Force to in turn issue what is known as a notice to the occupant. And again, let me not say much more, but let me say we did reach settlement out of court. And with that out of way, we could proceed with the project.
Clearly this earth is not flat. This is a mountain.
This is a mountain, and the slope is approximately 45 degrees. So obviously we worked with multiple story buildings, 6 stories to the one side, the smaller building, 7 stories to the other side, the larger building. And in the planning stage, prior to building, there's a tremendous level of hard work to get a grip on this. We couldn't simply construct a staircase just from top to bottom, one straight line. The length was insufficient to cover the drop. The horizontal length was insufficient to cover the vertical drop. So with this house, the external staircase comes from the top, kind of midway of the stand, then it does a sideway detour, it returns sideways midway, and then it drops down to the street. So there's a whole three-dimensional puzzle here, a labyrinth, where I had to marry internal staircases, external staircases, and then bring into that equation the requirements of driveway ramps with certain steep gradients by law for cars. It's a case of just applying your mind systematically, bit by bit, step by step, until you know you have designed this to the best of your ability. And it's complex.
I believe you also had to deal with loose soil and unstable rock formation on this property.
That was a major challenge. At the very bottom, we have a circular rock and it's brittle. And this circular rock is covered with a layer of loose soil, which we technically refer to as detritus. And our buildings are built on top of that detritus in turn. So from top to bottom, building, loose soil, brittle rock. It required extremely careful engineering, and we often worked by hand rather with power tools so as not to have a landslide. And I'm blessed that we worked with an extremely good engineer who had the experience and, if I may say, the courage to do the necessary.
Charl, as I understand it, you created the earth, and in the end you could only build on some of it, not all of it. Why is that?
So this earth is 717 square meters in surface area, and because of building lines and because of servitudes, only 1/3 of this earth was available to construct on, and that 1/3 was further divided into 3 fragments. To put it bluntly, as much as we owned the earth, there was nowhere to build here. So what we did, we approached City Council and we asked for building lines relaxation in order to increase the size of the fragments on which we may construct legally. That in turn necessitated council, as per the prescribed legislation, to ask direct neighbours for comments. And as some of the neighbours did lodge negative comments, council was then legally obliged to call a hearing. Think of it as a court case. It's quite serious. I counted the day at the hearing, there were 14 city council officials. We presented our case in favour of building line relaxation. The neighbours presented their case against building line relaxation. And City Council then deliberated, as a jury does, and then issued a report in writing that gave us the right to relax our building lines. After we won that court case, that hearing, instead of having only 1/3 of the surface area of this earth available, we had increased the available area, the area available to building, the fragments available to building. We had increased those from 1/3 of the surface area of the earth to 2/3 of the surface area of the earth, which of course is a huge difference. But bear in mind, even the 2/3 of the 717 square meter that may now be constructed on is still divided into 3 fragments. It's a challenge.
Charl, I believe you found city electricity bulk supply on this property, not once but twice.
Yes, we knew there was an overhead bulk supply cable that was clearly visible to the eye. What we didn't know was there was also a City Council bulk supply cable under the ground. So as we excavated with jackhammers into the mountain, we exposed this underground cable. I had to, by law, issue a so-called stop works order. Essentially, you say to the builder, don't continue building. If a jackhammer were to hit that cable, injury or death could follow. That's not only a moral or civil case, that's a criminal case. So we stopped building for 6 months. And in the 6 months, we worked our way up the hierarchy within City Council saying, guys, we have a problem. Your cable is stopping us from continuing with our work. Please help. And eventually we had one of the really top officials on site who showed great insight, great support, and said to me, Charl, there's a 3-year waiting list for rectifying these City Council mistakes. And I said, I can't wait 3 years. I've been invited to Venice, Italy, to showcase the design of this property, this house. And the official said, can you prove it? And I said, yes, I'll send you my letter of invitation. When I get to the office, I will forward you that mail. And in response, I received a mail from City Council saying, your project is now deemed as part of Pretoria's cultural heritage footprint, and as such we will attend to your bulk cable problem soonest. Which took another 6 months, but we did have the resolution. We could continue building.
And then you found the City Council's bulk water supply on this property.
Well, we knew there was bulk water, but the way that had been documented prior to us starting building was, let's say, partial. As we excavated and we opened a pipe, we are truly speaking of a pipe where I could cover maybe half of that pipe with my 2 arms. It's a big pipe. As we started excavating, we found the pipe, and there was more to the pipe than the documentation had shown. And for a moment I had the fear that this pipe could possibly flood the area. And at the bottom of this earth we have the major bullet train in South Africa, the Gau train. That's when you work 48 hours non-stop to put precautions in place. And then you sigh a sigh of relief and say, we are good.
So Charl, in the end, was it worth it?
Yes. So for me as a professional, I got to exercise my skills, my capabilities. I got to learn. As one meets challenges, one also learns. But more importantly for my clients, this was a dream literally came true. This was a process for them of some 17 years, and subsequent to building another year or two in the gardens being established, the interiors. So for my clients it's been as good as a 20 years process, and now they have what they always visualized. They receive and entertain at this very table where we are sitting at. They have those views which motivated them to start the project. And as their children and grandchildren visit, as their extended circle of friends, all those friends visit, everybody shares and enjoy. And it's come to successful, full fruition. And it brings satisfaction and it brings tremendous joy to many people.